I'm a 42-year-old woman, and this happened not too long ago at my parents' house during what was supposed to be a shared graduation celebration. The whole extended family was invited: cousins, uncles, aunts, and grandparents, because 2 kids in the family had just graduated high school, my daughter and my sister's son. Both were finishing the same year, both with solid grades, both ready to move into the next stage of their lives. My parents had insisted on hosting a big party so that the whole family could mark the occasion together. The house was decorated with banners, balloons, and strings of lights running across the backyard. Food trays covered every table, and my mother had even hired a local band to play in the evening. People milled about, catching up with relatives they hadn't seen in a while, and for the first hour, it really did feel like a happy occasion. Then my father called everyone outside, saying it was time for the big surprise. All the guests filed out onto the driveway. Sitting there with a giant red bow on the hood was a brand new car. It gleamed under the afternoon sun, the paint so fresh it looked like it had just been polished. My nephew stood front and center as my father dangled the keys in his hand and made a show of the presentation. The crowd clapped, phones came out to record the moment, and everyone shouted their congratulations. People joked about who would get the first ride, where he would drive on his first road trip, and how lucky he was to start adulthood with his own car. I watched my daughter standing off to the side. She had been waiting with a smile, expecting that the surprise would be for both graduates. Instead, she stayed still, waiting for someone to call her name, waiting for something that never came. The cheering went on as my nephew sat in the driver's seat and revved the engine, the sound echoing through the neighborhood. My mother wiped away fake tears, saying how proud she was, while the family crowded around to take photos with him in the car. After the excitement settled a little, my father handed me a plain white envelope. I already knew what was inside because I had seen my mother preparing it earlier in the week. My daughter opened it in front of everyone and pulled out a generic gift card. No wrapping, no ribbon, just a rectangle of plastic. The silence around her lasted only a second before people turned back toward my nephew and the car, making comments like, "Oh, cars are just more practical for boys," and "She'll understand. She's a girl. She doesn't need one right now." My daughter pushed the envelope back into her pocket and forced a small smile. No one cheered for her, no one clapped. She stepped back while others looked away, pretending not to notice her embarrassment. The difference between the grand ceremony and her quiet dismissal couldn't have been clearer. I stood there and listened as relatives kept complimenting the gift. They talked about how generous my parents were, how smart it was to give a car, how this would set my nephew up for success. Every word felt like another jab, not because I wanted a car for my daughter, but because of the sheer imbalance. I noticed how she held herself tighter, her shoulders drawn in, and I knew the sting of being overlooked in front of so many people would stay with her. Still, I didn't raise my voice or confront anyone right then. Instead, I surprised everyone by stepping forward with a smile and saying how wonderful the car looked. I complimented the color, the shine, even the bow. The crowd seemed relieved that I wasn't angry, and several people nodded as if everything had been settled. They thought the moment of tension had passed, but I had already started thinking about what would come next. While everyone was still crowded around the car, I clapped my hands and suggested that we should celebrate the new ride with a family road trip. I said it would be the perfect way to break in the car, that we could make a weekend of it, driving through scenic routes and visiting landmarks. The idea caught on instantly. People shouted their agreement, saying it sounded fun and adventurous. My nephew grinned from ear to ear, already imagining himself at the wheel, showing off his